Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I am, of course, your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. Time for part two of our live album spotlight series on Rush. And in this episode, we're going to be focusing on Exit Stage Left. Now, not only is Exit Stage Left Rush's second live release, it is also their second album released in 1981. First being their eighth studio release, Moving Pictures, which was released on February 12th of 81, and Exit Stage Left, sorry, was released on October the 29th in 81 on Anthem and Mercury Records, respectively. Upon release, this album was massive in the US and in Canada and successful basically all over the world. It achieved silver status in the UK and platinum status in Canada and the US, reaching number 7 in the Canadian charts, number 10 in the US charts, and number 6 in the UK charts. Now, this album is polarizing to some people. Some people consider it a fantastic quintessential live album, and some people do criticize it. And I'll get to that in a second. There are 13 tracks on the reissue of the album on CD. The original CD release had omitted one track in particular, A Passage to Bangkok, which, uh, due to time constraints on the CD format when CDs were originally were first manufactured, they had a playing time of 74 minutes. The playing time for CDs was increased to 80 minutes, basically 79 minutes and 59 seconds. So, due to the increase in playing time, A Passage to Bangkok was reinstated in the track listing for the reissue, which I do believe came out in the late 90s, 97. But I digress. Anyways, fantastic album. It's has a bit of a history here. The tracks on side two were recorded in 1980 at the Apollo in Glasgow, Scotland, on the Permanent Waves tour. Sides 1, 3, and 4 were recorded at the Forum in Montreal on March 27th, 1991, on the Moving Pictures tour. The album starts off with The Spirit of Radio, single from Permanent Waves. And I gotta tell you, most, if not all of these tracks are still considered FM radio staples today. They're still played quite regularly on Canadian FM radio. Again, it starts off with The Spirit of Radio and a fantastic version of this track, clocking in at 5 minutes and 11 seconds. Beautiful, beautiful production sound. To me, it sounds crystal clear. Okay. Neil Peart's drumming on this album in total is immaculate, along with Geddy Lee on bass and Alex Lifeson on guitars. They are exemplary in terms of their musicianship and craftsmanship on this album. It is amazing. Up next, you have Red Barchetta from Moving Pictures. And I gotta tell you too, most of these tracks, I would say about 99% of these tracks are in their entirety. Okay. There's very few edits, if at all, maybe a little tweaking here and there on the tracks, but nothing major. So they are basically presented to you in their entirety. And it is amazing. It's amazing to listen to. After Red Barchetta is the instrumental, the infamous YYZ, which stands YYZ, if you don't know, is the airport code for the Pearson International Airport in Toronto, my home city. This version clocks in at 7 minutes, 43 seconds. Red Barchetta clocks in at 6:46. And the YYZ track, it is spot on. It is spotless in terms of its execution, its delivery, and it also includes a drum solo from Neil Peart. And I gotta tell you, this drum solo, he has not altered it that much over the years since he started using it. It is brilliant. And you can just imagine the people standing up in their seats, just like in awe of what's going on here. It's just amazing. And then it fades out. Side two starts off with the omitted track from the original CD release, A Passage to Bangkok. Heavy rhythm guitar, brilliantly done by Alex Lifeson, just amazing. And then it goes into Closer to the Heart, uh, one of two songs that were co-written by outside writers. The rest of the tracks were written by Rush as a collective. Closer to the Heart was co-written by Peter Talbot, and it's amazing. Closer to the Heart segues one of the three I would say two tracks that segues into one another. It segues into Beneath, Between, and Behind from Fly By Night. It's amazing, and it's a shortened version of Beneath, Between, and Behind. The second verse is omitted for some reason, and it clocks in at 2:34. So it is a shorter version of it. Brilliantly done, nonetheless. But it is indeed a shorter version. So moving on with my notes here. Then you have Jacob's Ladder, but before that you have a little acoustic, an instrumental intro called Ebbstide, or Eptide, sorry. And you hear the audience getting into it, clapping and getting into it. And Geddy Lee introduces a track, Jacob's Ladder, as he does with the Spirit of Radio at the beginning of the set. Again, fantastic, flawless. Side three starts off with a little short instrumental written by Alex Lifeson called Bruin's Bane. Beautiful acoustic guitar piece, and that segues into the single The Trees from Hemispheres. Brilliant song, brilliant song, talking about the ecological state of society, discussion amongst the trees, between the maples and the spruces, and but again, exemplary, just amazing. The tree segues into the mammoth 12-minute and 9-second version of Xanadu from A Farewell to Kings. Just brilliantly executed, flawless, just amazing. The drumming is on point. The guitars are heavy. The keyboards and bass, just spot on, just amazing. Side four starts off with Free Will. Again, brilliantly done. None of these songs are really, they're not done. Okay, let me put it this way. There are no improv sections. Okay, they pretty much stay to the structure of the track. Okay, so there's no grandiose drum solo here and there, except for YYZ, but they're executed flawlessly. After Free Will is another co-write with Rush and Pi Dubois, who wrote with most notably Max Webster, Tom Sawyer, the big hit from Moving Pictures. And again, just amazing. You can just imagine the crowd just going ballistic when this comes on, when they start this. It is brilliant. It is perfection. Okay. And the set ends with a 9-minute, 37-second version of La Villa Stringiato, which I do believe they come out and do as an encore. Now, there are a couple of bass and percussion improvs or little small extended sections on La Villa Stringiato, and during the Pape and Danforth section of the track, because the track is separated into, various sections, right? If you look up on Wikipedia, you can see what they're listed as. During the Pape and Danforth section of La Villa Stringiano, Geddy Lee is reciting or singing a nursery rhyme in Yiddish, and that is translated in the liner notes on this in the CD sleeve CD booklet. Sorry, it's been one of those days, guys. Now, as I said, the album is flawless. Some people would say perfect. Some people would say maybe too perfect. Uh, with the exception of I guess it's three segues. The album cuts are banded. So you have fade ins, fade outs, and fade ins from one track to the next. It's not one long extended concert setting that you're hearing. And for me, honestly, as much as I love the album, it's a little off-putting because, with a concert album, you put it on, you want to, you hear the music, you get into it, and you hear the crowd reacting to whatever drum parts are coming up or guitar solo, or whatever, or vocals that come in, and you hear the roar of the crowd, they're getting into it, right? You really don't hear that on this album. The audience response was cut back as opposed to All the World's a Stage from 76. And, at the time of release, Neil Peart stood by their decision to do this because they wanted to make what they called a perfect live album with a reduction of audience response. And Geddy Lee would say in years later that maybe they went too far to the too far right or left of where they were with All the World's a Stage. For me, I like hearing the audience reaction between tracks. I like to hear them maybe if they want to sing along or if they want, sometimes you hear an audience member yell out a name, the band's name or, the musician's name and just really get into it. That's what I'm missing on this album. You know what I mean? And there are times when you hear Geddy Lee announce a track title, and he's far off on the right channel, almost to the point where you can't really hear what he's saying. You know what I mean? There was a criticism of All the World's a Stage from 76 from Neil Peart that the audio level at the concert at Massey Hall wasn't the same. It varied. Okay, so they wanted to make a pristine, perfect live album, which is fine. And I mean, also, Geddy Lee admitted in an interview that some of the tracks from Exit Stage Left, the guitars were out of tune, so they had to go back in the studio. They went into the studio in Quebec, in Morin Heights, and they touched up some of the guitar parts in the studio just to, buff it up a little bit to make it sound good. I mean, if Kiss can do it, why not Rush or any band really? But there has been criticism that maybe they went too far left or right on what they wanted to do with it. Personally, for me, I like where, again, like I said, where the audience is heard throughout the album. There are no stops between the tracks, no fade outs and fade ins, just a clean all the way through concert performance. That's, to me, is a live album. But again, that is just my opinion, right? So that's it for now, guys. Please let me know what you think of Exit Stage Left. And little footnote, I should tell you about the title. The title of Exit Stage Left was inspired by Snagglepuss, a character from Hanna-Barbera's Yogi Bear series. Every time he would leave a scene, he'd say exit stage right, and he'd take off, right? So they wanted to use on, play it like a joke on the title. What they wanted to do was to have a picture for the cover, a picture of Snagglepuss's tail, leaving a shot, leaving a scene. But when they contacted Hanna-Barbera wanted way too much money for the use of the cartoon character's tail. So they opted for what you see, the backstage of the woman looking, you know, around the corner of around the curtain to see who was out there, kind of thing. I found that was quite interesting when I read that, and I wanted to include that to let you know about that. So yeah, they didn't want to pay, I guess, thousands and thousands of dollars just to use a picture of a cat's tail. So again, I forgot to mention that. So yeah, again, please let me know what you think of Exit Stage Left. Do you like it? Do you not like the album? Do you prefer All the World's a Stage? Do you prefer a Show of Hands? Tell me which live Rush album that you prefer and why. Okay, in the comments down there, down below. So that's it for now, guys. Please look after yourselves and one another. I am Armando Venditti. I will see you soon with another video. Bye for now.